Next part, let's take a look at page 210, work example 2. And here, the unknown or the variable to be made the subject is small letter a. So in this case, what can we do? What we can do first is to get rid of the brackets by expanding the right hand side. So when we expand the right hand side, it will become half AH plus half BH. Okay? Now next, we recognize that every term is on its own and there is no bracket involved. So let's just put all the terms with small letter a to the left hand side and every other term goes to the right hand side. So if I want to let my half AH be positive, it will look something like that. Okay, so I leave this here, I bring my half BH to the left. Okay, makes sense? Now, in this case, if I want to let small letter a be the subject, I have to divide every single term by half h. Let's get rid of the half first by multiplying every term by 2. So when we multiply every term by 2, I have AH equals to 2a minus BH. And if I want to get rid of the h, I divide every term by h. So I get 2a equals to 2a out of h minus b. So that's the answer. You realize that small a is the subject now. Now in the next example over here, we want to make x the subject. As usual, when we see brackets, let's remove the brackets by doing an expansion so that every term is on its own. So we have ax plus ab plus x equals to c. As usual, terms with x, we leave it on the right. Everything else, we bring it to the left. After a while, you realize that the steps are rather standard. Yeah. Okay, now at this point, I'm sure you know what to do. If you look at the left hand side, every term has a letter x in it. Let's do a factorization. Okay, sorry, I went ahead. Sorry, c minus ab. Okay, now over here, if we want to let x be the subject, we divide both sides by a plus 1, right? Too eager. Okay, and there you go. Your x is now the subject. I'm going to move on to the following page to tackle C and D. Now, over here, you realize that on the left hand side, it's a letter y on its own, and on the right hand side, we have a fraction. Similar to the previous question, over here, let's try to make the left hand side, which is y, become a fraction. Alright, then after that, we could cross multiply. So y out of 1 equals to 1 minus 2x out of x plus 3. Okay, at this point, let's do a cross multiplication. So as we cross multiply, we will get xy plus 3y equals to 1 minus 2x. And from here, take a look at the terms with x. Leave it all on the left hand side. And 3y, I got to bring it to the right. Okay, next, let's factorize the x out of the terms on the left. 1 minus 3y. And final step, let's get rid of y plus 2 by dividing both sides by it. And then we are left with x as the subject. There you go. Okay, after a while, the method is rather similar. Now, final question. You have 1 out of u plus 1 out of v equals to 1 out of f. Let's make u the subject. Could we cross multiply at this point? No, right? Because the left-hand side has got two fractions, and in order to cross multiply, you need to have only one fraction, a single fraction on each side of the equation. So let's combine this into one fraction. Okay, let me just take back my words. Perhaps I would bring 1 out of v over to the right hand side, okay, because u is not in 1 out of v, right? Okay, at this point, let's just combine the right hand side into a single fraction. So we have v minus f over fv. Okay, and how can we move on from here? There are two ways. Method 1 will be our usual method of cross multiplying. So when we cross multiply, you will have f u v equals to, oops, sorry, mistake. I'll have f v equals to u v minus f u. Okay, now how do we make u the subject? Let's factorize the right hand side. And we divide both sides by v minus f to make u the subject. So that's one method. Now there is actually another method that we can use. You realize that at this point, each side of the equation of the formula has got one single fraction. So when it's like that, we could flip the left hand side and the right hand side, and the equation, the formula, still stays the same. So if we were to flip both sides, my left hand side will be u. Straight away, I'll actually end up with u being the subject. And as I flip the left hand side, I do the same for the right hand side. There you go. So in one step, you realize that, hey, you actually achieved the same answer. But depending on your preference, your level of preference, and how comfortable you feel, okay, you might actually still want to do the first method if you think that you're more confident with doing cross multiplication. Yeah, so hope that this short session helps you understand changing the subject of a formula better.